Discuss Ohio Republican Congressman Max Miller. He's joining us from Los Angeles, where President Trump will touch down this evening. So, Congressman, let's start there with your former father-in-law's story today about your daughter and the little blue bunny doll that she cannot sleep without. If it's true, that sounds like emotionally abusive behavior toward a toddler to refuse to give it to her when she can't sleep without it.
Jake, I would agree that if that were true, that would be incredibly disturbing and that the senator would be right. However, he has taken 2 years to publicly acknowledge for me to resign from my seat. Why is that, Jake? If he truly believed, like, I'm a father to a 2.5-year-old daughter, I believe that you're also a father to children. And I don't know if you're actually a father to a daughter. But what I can tell you is, well, Jake, then what I can tell you is that if my daughter came to me and she said, my ex-husband did X, Y, and Z, and then I waited because I was nervous that a political live stream was going to expose a deeply impersonal, embarrassing matter to the senator for him to take that action. Sadly, this has nothing to do with my daughter, Jake, and that's what this entire thing is about. This is nothing more than an individual who's being politically vindictive and talking about a blue bunny when I have text messages I can show you from our parent coordinator, who is a mandatory court reporter, who said that Mr. Moreno would be coming over my home, and then another individual came who I don't know.
Well, first of all, Congressman, you're faulting him for both not saying anything for 2 years and for saying something in the last 2 days.
Well, that's because, Jake,
it's possible that he didn't say anything because his daughter didn't want him to say anything because he didn't want this to become any more of a spectacle than it's become.
You could say that, but also dealing with this in a private family matter, then why couldn't have we had a conversation a year ago? If Mr. Moreno felt this was the case, why do we now have to be here on national TV exposing all of our personal family drama? Why didn't he come to me and say, Max, I don't believe privately that you should be in the United States Congress and that you need to look for a pathway out, and I do believe my daughter.
I don't know, but it's not really the issue, though, right? The issue is, the one I asked you about is, did you hold this doll hostage? Because that is emotionally abusive behavior.
Mr. Tapper, no. And just to further more than that, there have been 2 investigations that have already been looked into me, and I would like to just have a little bit of moment to explain. The first investigation that was looked into me was that my ex-wife, Emily Moreno, filed a report of child abuse against me. That first incident, 2 individuals were held liable for abusing my daughter at a daycare, which I have a private settlement agreement from. I was found not guilty. They looked at my fingerprints. They made me take off my shirt. They made me look at my body to make sure that I didn't abuse my daughter. And that was number 1, Mr. Tapper. Number 2, when I was reported for child abuse for my daughter for a broken collarbone, my daughter was in my ex-wife's care 9 out of the last 11 days, and she took her to the emergency room, which is a contempt violation from our shared parenting plan. Furthermore than that, Mr. Tapper, is this. These matters have already been looked into. Ms. Moreno has already gone to the police. The police are not investigating it. Ask yourself, why aren't they investigating these things? You see yourself, I am not getting any special treatment. I have never done these things. These things have already been investigated. Yeah. I have no police reports looked into me, and we actually have evidence, unlike the other side. And so, you know, it's an honor for me to have a platform like this to continue to fight and to continue to show the American people that I've already been looked into. Right. I'm happy to be looked into again.
Is there anything that your ex-wife or your former father-in-law, Senator Moreno, say about you that is true? I mean, Senator Moreno said on Sunday that you have admitted privately that you need to get help.
This is the unfortunate part about this business, Jake, is that he's never told me that, and that's an extreme projection. There's only one person between myself and Emily Moreno who's been actually diagnosed with a medical condition.
Right, but have you ever said that?
And that's not me. Yes, and I have it in her own words, and
but
you can listen to it.
But have you said it? Have you ever said that you need to get help, that you need to see a counselor?
No, not to him, no.
No, to anyone. Have you said it to Emily?
Oh, well, Jake, I think a lot of people within this country see a therapist. I've been seeing a therapist over the last decade of my life. This isn't anything new. I don't know why this would be any more important than anything else. I think it's healthy to talk to somebody and to share what's going on within your life and to work through problems. I don't look at this as a negative thing for someone to seek therapy to go through something. And
Agreed.
yes, Jake, I've been seeking therapy for the last 10 years of my life.
Okay.
And I'm proud and honored to admit that.
When you did your live stream on Twitter or X on Sunday, you said you were doing so to protect your daughter. And you did so, and you also released a Dropbox on X with files involving your family to show that you were a good dad. Now, one of the files was an image of your daughter naked, and it was available in that Dropbox for a day before that photograph was removed. It's an image that your ex-wife's attorney says could qualify as child sexual abuse material. Your attorney has said that he is the one who did that, and he apologizes. But it is shockingly reckless behavior by you and your team.
I wouldn't say that it's shockingly reckless. That photo that was put in there is actually a part of an investigation by the Child and Family Protective Services, and that is already public knowledge that people can go and they can look through court-reported mandates. This is being taken very much out of context. There was no genitalia of my daughter that was exposed, and this is once again a very salacious headline.
It's not
Jake,
publicly available. We called the court today. It's not publicly available. But your attorney apologized.
I'm not defending it. It's awful.
You just defended it. You said it was taken out of context.
Well, because it is taken out of context in terms of how the articles have been written about it. I didn't do this. My attorney took full responsibility. I believe that it's awful. There was never any intent to do that. What I did on Sunday, okay, Jake, I went on CNN with Lauren Fox for a 45-minute interview about a month ago.
Right.
And
you ran some of it.
Right. You ran some of it, but only 6 minutes of that interview was played.
That's how TV works.
I know, Jake, but here's the deal, okay? She asked me a question, and she asked me a very, laced question and said, your ex-father-in-law and your ex-wife say that your daughter is terrified to go to your home. Every single time they say she's terrified. I then played Lauren Fox 3 separate audio videos, separate audio videos of my daughter saying, I do not want to go to mommy's, I do not want mommy's, and I do not feel safe. None of that made it out there. Why?
Because it was recorded without her permission, is my understanding of it.
No, it's a one-party consent in the state of Ohio. And this is what I've had to do in order to get my truth out. I mean, you could say this is what the media does. They take a 45-minute interview and they clip it to 6 minutes of what they want the American people to see. That's why I did the live stream to lay everything out,
but
and I'm not hiding.
Congressman, I'm not talking about whether or not it was legal or illegal to record your ex-wife. I'm saying that the reason we didn't air it is because it was our understanding that the recording was done without her permission. That's something else. That's discretion. That's journalism. That's not a question of legality.
Okay,
but let's talk about it, because there is a police report from the suspected child abuse incident in February involving your daughter, and that report details that the child protection team says that your child had a right clavicle fracture and, quote, a bruise that accompanies the injury that appears to be in a handprint and appears to have been inflicted, unquote. Now, your ex-wife stated to police that your child told her in the days leading up to the discovery of the injury, quote, Daddy, kill you. And your ex-wife also said your child had said, Daddy angry and Daddy's house is scary. Now, according to your wife, your daughter articulated these statements to Children and Family Services. So can you explain why your child may have said those things?
Jake, I wish you could talk to my beautiful baby girl. She can't string together sentences like that. She's 2.5 years old. She doesn't have the ability to articulate any of what you just said. That is an entire fabrication of the truth. I have actual video, actual documentation.
But didn't you just tell me that
through two investigations.
You just told me that she had said that she was scared to go to mommy's house.
She is, and I have video of it.
But now you're saying that she's not capable of saying, Daddy, kill you? I mean, it seems like she's either able to say one but not the other.
Jake,
that doesn't make sense.
Jake, to be very direct, this is incredibly disturbing. I am not going to my child to say, Daddy, kill you. You have to look at the timing of everything that is taking place, right? What about due process? I have already been through these investigations, and I know that I've said that now 3 times, and we're kind of just blowing past this. But these are individuals who do their jobs to protect kids. And the main job of the court and the main job of Child Protective Family Services and the main job of our judge who has been appointed to our divorce case is to make sure that our daughter is safe. And every single one of those individuals has agreed with me. I have full shared parenting. I still have full medical parenting, half. I still have full half education. If any of these things were true, Jake, a judge would have taken our baby girl out of my hands. What you have is a very sadly politically motivated scenario to where, people want to see me go away, and all of this happened, and I'm not joking. Yeah. Take it for what you want. Look, this live stream, yeah. The impetus for the resignation, okay, came because an individual thought something was going to be said on that live stream that I had no intention of saying, and I still do not have any intention of saying.
But here's the thing. You're talking about a level of standard of proof that has to do with judges, and there is separately a different level when it comes to what kind of behavior is tolerated among public officials, because there are now three women who have accused you of violent behavior. Politico published a report in 2021 that says when you were in high school, you, quote, pushed a girl out of the dorm of his room and she fell down some stairs after he became enraged when she resisted his attempts to touch her, according to three people who were there and many more who heard about the incident in the aftermath. Now, you deny that, but the woman in question told Mother Jones reporter Abby Vasulis just days ago that it happened and was, quote, one of the more traumatic nights of her life.
Well, now, I would love for that individual to go on the record because that
Okay.
Jake, I was
hold on, because I'm not done with the list of women that have accused you of violence. Then there is former White House Press Secretary. Okay, you were young. Then there's a former White House Press Secretary, Stephanie Grisham, who was your ex-girlfriend. She accused you of being abusive and having a violent streak. She wrote in her book, quote, I could do nothing right by him. I would wake up every morning shaking with anxiety about his mood that day. I had seen his temper before, and it had scared me, unquote. She has recently filed a temporary restraining order against you in a defamation case. And now there are these claims from your ex-wife, Emily Marino. And I guess the question is, are all three of these women who don't know each other, are all three of them lying?
Yes, it's very easy, and I can tell you why. Every single time, and people have asked me, what are you going to do? Are you going to drop out of this race? Are you going to resign? Are you going to get out before the deadline? And my answer to you, Jake, is no. And I can tell you why. In 2016, when President Donald J. Trump faced the most extreme allegations in the world that hit him day after day after day, and people in the media, very much like yourself and others, said that he would have no shot at winning, that he should not be the President of the United States. But guess what? He stayed in and he was resilient. And what the American people can see is that they can see that somebody is fighting who is resilient, and that is a quality that the American people cherish. And so for no second am I going to sit here and continue to be debased by false and baseless allegations and be pushed out of a seat I have worked so hard to represent and done a terrific job for our community. My record in Congress on the Ways and Means and House Foreign Affairs and bringing back money for our district and standing up for the Ukrainian people and also voting to protect Obamacare during this entire time. This is why no one's attacking me on my policy, Jake, because they can't. I've been a good legislator. All they're trying to do is create rumor mills without evidence. It's all hearsay. All hearsay.
Do you realize it's not hearsay if it is firsthand testimony from women, and I just named three people that are providing firsthand testimony. That's not hearsay. But do you realize what it is in terms of how tall an order it is for voters and your colleagues and everybody watching right now to believe that three women who don't know each other made up accusations of you being violent, and you are telling the truth here, they are lying? That is a difficult thing for people to believe, right?
No, not in this instance, because every single one of these things that you're brought up, unlike other candidates throughout the country, I've already had investigations into. The domestic abuse allegation that you're referring to against my ex-wife, Department of Child and Family Services already reviewed that, and they viewed that nothing happened. Bay Village Police Department, Ms. Moreno filed the police report. The prosecutor looked at it. They looked at it for a very long time. There was nothing there. My case is much different than everyone else that has been laid out before. Yes, I have tangible evidence, and I have also had investigations that have cleared me of every single thing you have mentioned, except to be clear.
Let's talk about this, because in the custody lawsuit, there was a discovery phase. And Emily Marino's lawyers asked you a series of questions about past alleged incidents, and some of them you denied outright. No, that's not true. No, that's not true. And others you refused to answer at all, your lawyers claimed they were not relevant. And the ones you didn't answer include the incident involving the stairs or your past alleged drug use. If you ever referred to the birth of your child as, quote, setting your playground on fire. If you were ever kicked out of college. You wouldn't answer them. I mean, I can tell you that I never did any of those things. Why can't you?
Because, well, Jake, if you're wondering, I'm happy to answer
those questions. I should say I have smoked marijuana.
Right.
I'm sorry, I take that back. I have smoked pot before it was legal. So
okay,
I'm getting it all out on the table.
Yeah, and that's great. So have I, and I don't think, previously when I was younger or even, a few years ago, there's anything wrong with cannabis uses. It's legal in 39 out of 50 states in the country.
In the Mother Jones story, it said when you were picked up for the drunk driving, you had ecstasy in your system.
Look, once again, these are already investigations, and we're bringing up things from 15 to 20 years ago.
Well, why wouldn't you answer those questions in discovery? Why wouldn't you answer the questions about whether or not you would push that girl down the stairs?
Well, because it never happened. Why would I give something credibility and answer for something that never happened?
But you did that for other. You did that for other questions.
But this woman isn't even coming forward. I don't know who you're referencing. Unless these people actually put a name to these allegations and come forward, I don't know how the American people can continue to believe things like this. When's also concerning.
When's the last time you ever used illegal drugs?
Illegal drugs?
Yes, because you're being investigated right now by the House Ethics Committee.
The last time, I would have to say, the last time I had illegal drugs would have been, I don't know, several years ago. I mean, I don't have a time frame on it, but I don't use illegal drugs. No, Jake, this is what they're doing, okay? This whole, needles thing, this is testosterone replacement therapy. People are painting this as something that it's not. Secretary Hegseth, who is the Secretary of War just 3 weeks ago, allowed our entire military, who are males, to take testosterone replacement therapy. That's what I was doing. I have not been using any illegal drugs. This is nonsense, and this is much more of how Mr. Moreno and and my ex-wife are continuing to put this stuff out there.
Well, I think it's because there are 3 women. I think it's because there are 3 women that have alleged violence. I don't think any of this is actually about illegal drugs at all. I think it's because 3 women have alleged violent behavior by you, and 2 of them are fairly high profile on the record.
But Jake, once again, the one part that I am never going to back down from and that the American people need to continue to look at is, number one, I have had 2 full investigations that lasted almost a year into these child abuse allegations and into these domestic abuse allegations, okay? And
you say you'll never back down from it, but you sued Stephanie Grisham for defamation, and then you backed down from that suit, right? No, that's not true. There was a settlement agreement, and so I would love to talk to you about that, but I can't. But I didn't back down from that, and it was settled, and there's a reason for that, and that's all I can say regarding it. Let me ask you.
But if you're asking,
you spoke with the president yesterday. Did he tell you what he is telling aides privately, that he does not think you can win?
Look, the conversation I had with him yesterday at 9 a.m., and I've gotten a million phone calls about this, and this is what's so troubling. Look, he called me, and he said, Maxie, it's going to be a tough race. And he said, I don't know if you're going to be able to, pull this one out. And you know what, Jake? I reminded him of the same resilience that he had when people told him that he was going to struggle in 2016, and he became the 45th president of the United States. And I have the utmost confidence that my constituents back home know me. This race is a home race. This isn't about what the national media thinks. This isn't about what people in California or New York or Florida think about what goes on in Ohio 7. What you're going to see here, Jake, is that I am going to be successful in this November because my constituents know who I am, and they also know who my ex-father-in-law is, and they also know who my ex-wife is. And that's why you've seen people aren't running from me. My numbers in fundraising are strong. Speaker Mike Johnson, everyone else, they're standing behind me. No one has told me to get off the ballot, and that's because they know I can win this seat and see this through. And that's what we're going to do.
Let me ask you one last question, and I do appreciate your taking the questions here. Yeah. Is there anyone in your life, whether it's Republican leadership or your family or your girlfriend or anyone, is there anyone saying it really might be in the best interests for your daughter and for your own mental health to drop out, take a moment? You're still a young guy. You can always come back. That it might be actually in your best interests to drop out and your daughter's best interests?
You know what? That is a question, Jake, I have been struggling with, look, over the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to look at you the same way I think you would look at me if you were in my shoes, which is I am never going to give up. And what I mean by that is my daughter's going to grow up one day, and she's going to see all of this. And she's not going to see that her father caved to political and social media pressures for something that he never did. And furthermore than that, there are more than 50% of the people within this country who are divorced. And men get a really bad shake when it comes to family court. And it's not addressed enough in any way possible. And so here's what I can tell you is that I've received more support than ever from our community, from the people where I live. And that is why we are going to stay in this race and be successful. And you're right. The allegations, they're incredibly troubling. I agree they're troubling. But if they were true, I'd be in prison. And there's the only reason out of myself and other Republican colleagues that I'm the only one that doesn't have an active investigation into it. And so at the end of the day, I let the truth speak for itself, and the truth is right there. And I will never, ever, ever let my baby girl see her dad walk away as a quitter. I will continue to finish this, and if I have to run all the way to the end and I'm not successful, Jake, then that's a decision that I decide to make, and I can hold my head way up high knowing that I fought for the truth no matter what circumstances and no matter what came my way every single day, that Ruthie Miller will know that she's proud of her dad who bears my last name.
But you understand that the reason that this is a story is because it's not the first time a woman that you've been intimate with has accused you of violence and abuse. That's the reason. Now, it has nothing to do with political vendettas. It has nothing to do with Senator Marino. It has to do with the fact that there are two women on the record and a third who has talked to reporters or a reporter about what happened in high school.
And all I can tell you is this, Jake, is that I hope that you and the rest of the media do the same amount of digging as you are into me as you will into those other two. Because as you can see right now, and I understand I'm the member of Congress, so deservedly so, the spotlight, the attention, the media. But throughout this process objectively, how come people aren't asking the tough questions out of them? I mean, it's been a free runway of just me being a punching bag without articulating my points and presenting the evidence that we have here today and others.
They're not accused of physically abusing you. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Well, Jake, I got to tell you, in this country, due process is a thing, and everyone is entitled to it. And once again, I have been absolved of these claims that you continuously are bringing back up, especially the most recent one with Miss Moreno. Once again, the Department of Child and Family Services and Bay Village Police Department took her report. They investigated everything that she said, both the Bay Village Police Department and both Child and Family Services. And you can see right now, I'm not getting any special treatment, Jake. Okay. So if I really did those things, why wouldn't I be in prison? It's because it's an extreme fabrication of the truth. And look, at the end of the day, I'm going to continue to push. I am going to win this race. And my daughter will see that her father is going to be back in there. And then when we come back next term, my hope is you and I can have other conversations that will be a lot better than this about how we can move our country forward.
Republican Congressman Max Miller, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.